All right, that's live. In three, two, one. Hello, and welcome to episode 204 of the WrassleCast. I'm your host, Don Delarente, and I'm joined by my SmackDown Matters correspondent, Miss Didi Jonay.
We live, baby.
What's going on,
I
Didi?
don't know why that came to my mind. How you doing, friend?
I'm good, friend. I'm good. I'm glad to be here once again with you here on the WrassleCast.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me once again.
Oh, thank you for not kicking me off.
Oh no, you're it's not a show if Didi Jonay's not here.
Damn. Mm.
Everybody knows that. Tonight we are without Sam or Greg, but we are joined by a first time guest. She's an actual member of the Samoan Coalition. It's Miss Nadia. Welcome to the WrestleCast.
Thank you for having me, Malo. Malo.
We appreciate you being on with us. Very first time guest, like I said. So, as with all first time guests, you have to kind of give us your origin story with professional wrestling. Who got you into watching wrestling? Who'd you
Alright.
grow up watching? And some of your current favorites today.
All right. So wrestling has been a big part of my family, especially on Sundays. That's the only day that we could watch wrestling. And like I said, we didn't go to church, so we would stay home with my grandfather, and he would let my brothers fight each other, just so they can protect themselves. That's how it all started. Until we got cable, or I don't know what it was back in the days, but my grandfather told us to watch instead of fighting each other. We're just gonna watch the TV. So that's how everything came about. We just watched. I don't know why I'm so nervous now that it's recording, but yeah, my grandfather made sure that we watched wrestling because we always fought each other, and sometimes you wouldn't like that. So instead of fighting each other, we would watch people fight. So that's how our family household was. Yeah,
All
and
right. And who'd you grow up watching? Who were some of the people that you liked when you were a kid?
who did I grow up watching? There was a couple of them. I remember. Wow, I just totally spaced out. Sorry. Oh Jesus, I don't know. I'm so nervous. Well, The Rock has been. I don't think he would, but just because The Rock, one of my brothers named after The Rock, like Rocky. So we would my grandfather named my brothers after wrestlers. So I would think The Rock would be the person I'm thinking of right now since I've totally blacked out. So yeah.
All right. Now, as far as your current favorites, who are the guys that you like, that you follow, you cheer for the most today?
Yeah, who I cheer for the most today would definitely be the Usos. Um, now Samoa Joe, that's one of my favorite wrestlers. The Miz. Who else? And I like Naomi too. So they're one of my top fours.
All right. Well, that's a very interesting origin story to go from, hey, you're going to fight each
Right?
other to, hey, stop fighting each other and watch
Yeah.
wrestling. It's much safer that way.
And it brought our family together in such a weird way. So our family, I think our family, we're not fighters, but we definitely love to protect our people, especially when there's a lot of fights going on back in that time. So for my grandfather, he always wanted us to have good hands just in case that time happens, because there was a lot of wars or a lot of altercation at that time too. So that kind of yeah, that was one of the reasons why our family kind of like that. And people are scared of me because I'm 6'1" and I'm Samoan, and especially when I'm a female. So it's like people look at me like, oh, she fights. So like they don't bother me. So it's I don't know. It's just a whole thing that goes on.
All right. Well, again, Nadia, we are very pleased to have you here joining us tonight on the WrassleCast.
Thank you.
You can find the WrassleCast on the web at www.cspn.us. We got some couple of injury reports here on the news part of the show. Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks are both hurt, and I don't know what's wrong with them,
Hmm.
but they're not wrestling. So there's your news.
So it's just them two.
That I know right now.
Okay.
We've got some news inside of the reviews that we'll follow up on. But as far as right now, I know that Sasha was supposed to be teaming up with Bobby Lashley in the mixed
Mm-hmm.
match challenge, and that did not happen this past week. Mickey James replaced her, and Alexa Bliss was supposed to wrestle with Braun Strowman, but Ember Moon took her spot. So I don't know if that's
That's
permanent
right.
for Ember and Braun, but the
Mm-hmm.
Sasha thing looks like it may be a little while.
Oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation around the Sasha Banks
Being pregnant.
injury. Yeah, there's a lot of rumors because they usually kind of disclose what's wrong with you, but WWE hasn't come out and said any specific reason. So
Statement. Gotcha.
yeah, it could be a concussion. They kind of also go kind of tight lip when guys get concussions sometimes. So we'll see if something comes out here in the next week or so regarding Sasha. But hopefully she gets well and can get
Mm-hmm.
back in the ring soon. So we're going to go into our Monday Night Raw review. Thank you once again to everybody who joined us this past Monday for the hashtag WrassCast live tweet. You can find the WrassCast live tweet each and every week starting at 8 p.m. Just use the hashtag WrassCast to share your commentary with color. The show starts with Stephanie McMahon. She pulls up in a long black limo and she has a talk with Baron Corbin. She basically tells Corbin that he's got to find two partners and they're going to face off against the Shield. Speaking of the Shield, they come out to start the show. Ambrose says that they are the workhorses and they have lost battles, but they've never lost a war. Roman says the IC and Universal titles are the kings to the kingdom. While he's saying this and they hold the belts up, Dean looks like the kid who, got shorted when it came to people passing out nickels back in the day because he didn't have a title to hold up, so he kind of looked kind of smug there in the background. Rollins says the Shield is all about being the best, which is why Strowman got himself a pack of jackasses to try and take them down. He says that they are here and they want to show Corbin how much of an issue they can be. Baron Corbin arrives. He praises Stephanie and says that he and his partners will take care of business tonight. And he also adds that the locker room hates the Shield. So Braun, Dolph, and Drew, they arrive. Braun tells Reigns to shine his belt up for him. He can see the cracks in the Shield already forming, and they will implode at WWE Super Showdown. Braun says that the Shield will face the four of them, kind of teasing that Ambrose is seeing the light because he doesn't need the Shield. Dolph stirs the pot, noting that Ambrose was WWE champion on his own, but now has nothing. Drew then praises Ambrose and says Roman and Seth don't appreciate Ambrose and that he deserves more. They continue to explain how the Shield uses Ambrose and that he gets nothing while they get everything. Seth and Roman are champions, and Dean is just a sucker. Dolph then talks about how the Shield kept replacing Dean without a second thought. Reigns tells Dolph to shut up and says no one wants to hear Dolph talk. Corbin calls off Braun and the boys and says that no, the fight isn't happening. Corbin says that he and his partners will deal with the Shield. So, Didi Janae, I know for many years you've had this mostly hate relationship with Dean Ambrose, but did you feel
Mm.
bad for Dean out there with no title and those guys telling the truth about how Roman and Seth had treated him lately?
Let's be clear. I have not felt bad for a white man since 2015, maybe. So no. No lies. I did kind of feel bad for Enzo back when they were embarrassing him on a weekly basis. But no, I don't feel bad for Dean Ambrose. I'm very happy that his hair is still cut, although he seems to be growing it back, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
like that. I don't like that at all. But everybody can't be a winner all the time. So find a belt to win. And also, he just got back. He hasn't been around long enough to win a title. He needs to hold his horses.
All right. Nadia, your thoughts on
Yes.
this opening segment?
Um, I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of the Shield together, but for Dean, I don't. I know Dolph was going in on him, and I felt bad at that time. I was like, "Oh shit! Like shit is getting real." Now he's hearing it from other wrestlers. But all in all, I'm not sure. I like the Shield going against Braun and them. So yeah, I'm in support of that.
Um, Finn Balor is out with Bailey, and he
Hmm.
wrestles Jinder Mahal, and he's out with Alicia Fox and Sunil Singh.
Hmm.
Bailey trips up Jinder Mahal, and then she starts to brawl with Alicia Fox. Bailey then hits a Bailey to belly on Sunil Singh. Finn Balor then rolls up a distracted Jinder Mahal for the win.
Hey. You know what I
So,
want to see for Bailey
what's up?
and Finn? I want to see the wacky waving. I don't
Uh
know what you
huh.
call. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the inflatable man
I want him in all black.
to match Finn's leather coat.
Yes, I want him in all black. Maybe a red one.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm thinking the red one. I would love to see him in red.
But I don't want it to be all bright and happy, cheerful. I need it dark. Because then the dichotomy of the happy, wavy people all in black or like painted so they have the. Listen, it could be a mood. That's what I want.
Did you hear Renee call Jinder and Alicia Ashanti as it like their team name?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
that's
I saw on Twitter. Yep.
adorable. We out here. I got a
So
Brianna in NXT and I got my middle name on the main roster.
next up, what everybody was talking about
Hmm.
at the end of Monday Night Raw, Natalia, Nikki, and Brie Bella versus the Riot Squad, Ruby Riot, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan.
Mm-mm-mm.
Natty runs wild until Ruby makes the save. Natty gets the sharpshooter, but Ruby blind tags in and hits the right kick for the win. Now, of course, that's me burying the lead of this particular match, as the biggest thing that came out of it was Brie Bella hit Liv Morgan in the face with two consecutive yes kicks for real and knocked poor Liv Morgan out in the middle of the match. They drug Liv's limp body by the head back into her corner. Sarah Logan tags in. They're kind of scrambling around a little bit. Liv is like clearly struggling to get out of the ring. She's like barely holding on to the ropes. I mean, she is like in Dream Street,
Hmm.
but she manages to get back in and take part in a triple suplex before she finally, lays out for the rest of the match. But really scary situation there for a second for Liv Morgan. The diagnosis is that she does have a concussion, and there's no timetable for her return. But Miss Dee Dee's Jonay, you came up with the nickname Botchy Brie a couple of weeks ago,
You're
and
welcome.
she struck again
Mm.
on Monday night.
Hmm. I'm ready for the backstage interaction. Maybe it was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh, it's okay, girl. Happens to the best of us. Or was it, bitch, you got one more time to make an upset on my face before we have problems? I don't know. I wonder.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look for Brie, especially
Hmm.
a couple of weeks after the suicide dives went horribly wrong. So a lot of people are talking about, she needs to change her move set, maybe go down to the performance center, kind of clean up some things because, she hasn't been wrestling for over a year since she
Sure,
had a kid
birth.
and everything. So Nadia, your thoughts on Brie Bella and what happened between her and Liv?
Um, I at that time because I saw the second kick and I was like, oh shit, something something is going on because I saw her fell to her face, but Bree still kept going in on her. So at that time, I was kind of worried because like her whole body just kind of changed, the whole demeanor. So at that point, I don't know. It's just Bree has to be careful, of what she's doing, but I feel like she's not going in the ring to actually hurt someone. It kind of just happened with the moves that she decided to do. So
Mm-hmm.
all in all, I think she just needs to be careful next time because her life is on, especially for a concussion and we're not sure when Liv will be back on the ring. So all in all, I just hope that she's be careful with the moves that she's choosing on like the opponent that she's matching with. So
Yeah, so hopefully Liv Morgan
mhm.
has a speedy recovery and can get
Yeah.
back into in-ring action really soon. Don't want to see anybody injured and
Hmm.
not being able to compete. So good luck to Liv Morgan.
Yeah, and it's. I just want to throw this out. Growing up in like in the Samoan household, we weren't allowed to watch women wrestle, especially because of what their clothes was revealing, and within our culture, that's too much. So every time a women's match would come on with China, my grandfather would distract us with like a game, just so because we have brothers and uncles in the house. So I never grew up wanting to watch a women's match because of that reason, but now I'm slowly getting into it. I'm just you know just so used to what I grew up with. So just to throw that out there, I know it's weird, but in the Samoan household there's like a lot of crazy things. So
Interesting. Interesting.
mhm.
Dean is thinking as Dolph Ziggler arrives. Dolph says that he was telling the truth in the opening segment. He tries to stir the pot and wants Dean to give him a signal during the main event to let him know that he's going to be a part of the team.
Mhm.
I don't know who the hell um, Chad Gable pissed off in the back, but he lost to Connor this week. And that's all we need to say about that.
Who lost to
Stephanie,
Connor?
Chad Gable.
Did he? I was
Yeah.
watching, but I
Shit.
wasn't watching.
Like,
Nobody
dang.
loses to Connor
I know, right?
except maybe like Kurt Hawkins.
Well,
That's
Chad Gable
crazy.
has officially made it into Kurt Hawkins status then.
That's crazy. I wonder what he did. Maybe he lost a bet or something.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Stephanie and Triple H, they're getting back in the limo. They're heading out. Triple H is asked about Undertaker's comments from last week. Triple H says Undertaker has already lost and adds that he sold his soul a long time ago, so Undertaker's end is near. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler, they faced off against the Revival. The Revival hit a Doomsday device for a 2 count. The Revival looked for more double teams, and then Drew tags in and takes control. Drew dumps Dawson to the floor and catches Dash, but Dawson flies in with a drop kick and Dash covers for a 2. Drew hits a headbutt and the big boot, and then the Claymore zigzag combination finisher gives the tag team champions the win. So at least the Revival got back on TV. Too bad they didn't get the win, but this was a really good match. I enjoyed it a lot. I know, Didi, you have no love for the Revival because, yeah.
Because they're boring. Maybe they weren't boring at NXT, but they're boring now. And I don't want it.
It's time for the Kevin Owens show.
Yay!
Elias is here to play a tune
Mhm.
Yay!
because WWE stands for
Walk with Elias.
right. But Elias says Denver doesn't deserve a song. Owens thanks Elias and says that he's his biggest fan. Owens reminds us that he beat John Cena in his first night in WWE. Owens talks about Bobby Lashley and Leo Rush and the issues from last week, and he's giving Leo Rush a chance to come on his show. Leo Rush comes down. He thanks him for the opportunity and the invite. Owens wants Leo Rush to come to the ring and have a seat. Rush says that he and Lashley made them look bad last week and knows Owens' plan. He's going to stay on the stage, but Owens produces a booster seat for Rush, and then Leo Rush brings out Bobby Lashley. Yeah, the booster seat was funny. Playing off of last week, like, they thought he was a kid.
I laughed.
So we get Elias versus Bobby Lashley. Lashley hits the flatliner. They trade strikes. Lashley hits a clothesline, follows with a delayed suplex. Lashley sets up and he spears Elias through the ropes onto the floor. Owens chases Leo Rush, and then he runs over Bobby Lashley for the DQ. So, week two of the Leo Rush, Bobby Lashley. Are you still feeling it, Didi?
It's better than if Bobby were alone.
Okay. So,
But
WIP work in progress.
he's Leo Rush is the kind of person that I wouldn't like in real life. So you know who he reminds me of? Y'all, do
Who?
y'all ever ride public transportation?
Yes, I used
Leo
to.
Leo Rush reminds me of the boy in the back of the bus who plays his music on his phone without headphones.
Mm,
That's who he is. Like I know it in my spirit that that's who he is, and it don't curl all the way over for me. But I like where it's going, but I can't with him.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are,
no. Mm-mm.
are you a big fan of Leo Rush, Nadia, or Bobby Lashley?
uh,
Nobody's a big fan of Bobby Lashley.
yeah, I missed this match because I'm not a fan of both of them, of Elias and Bobby Lashley.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was with you on the Bobby.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm not feeling Elias at all, especially when he plays his guitar. I don't know
That's the
something.
best part.
Mm-mm.
Elias
Nope.
don't even need to wrestle. Wrestle for what? Elias
I
is just here for the tunes.
Yeah,
Yes.
nah. I'm not feeling it. So I missed this
Mm.
match on purpose.
More for me.
Well, our next match was Nia Jax versus
Ooh,
Alicia Fox.
yes. She's my girl. Nia Jax. She's my one. I'm such a
And,
huge fan of her. Sorry.
oh, no problem. Alicia Fox grounds the action, but Nia escapes, and then Fox cuts her off with kicks, and she covers for a 2 count. Nia Jax fights back, and she hits the Samoan drop on Foxy, and
Hmm.
Nia Jax gets the win.
That was an easy one, too.
Yeah, this actually was a pretty quick edition of Raw
Yeah.
for those, thankfully. Baron Corbin and his tag team partners, the Authors of Pain, they faced off against the Shield in the main event. So this was pretty cool to see the Authors of Pain in a main event situation. Um, I still don't get why Rockstar Spud is dressed up like them. He should just go back to wearing a suit or some type of
Hmm.
street clothes and not try to dress up like the Authors of Pain. But anyway, Ambrose cuts off Corbin and he heads back up top and he hits the elbow drop for a 2 count. Reigns and Rollins are back in and they clear the ring. We get a blackout to Baron Corbin and Rollins hits a couple of suicide dives. The Dirty Deeds connects on Baron Corbin. Then Roman Reigns tags in. We get another dive by Ambrose. Roman hits the spear on Corbin, and the Shield gets the win. Ambrose is on the floor for a long time, and he looks towards Braun, Dolph, and Drew, who are sitting on the ramp. And Dean returns to the ring to join his brothers in the Shield as they all throw in their fists as Monday Night Raw comes to an end. So that was Monday Night Raw. The most talked about thing, like I said, was um, what happened to Liv Morgan. The main event was fun just because we had some new people in it with the Authors of Pain. Still not here for Baron Corbin in the main events of Raw, but you know when he's a GM, I guess we're all at his mercy right now. So this was an okay show. It wasn't
Yeah.
anything spectacular, but it was okay.
Yeah, this was actually the lowest rating for Raw.
That sounds
Yeah,
correct.
Hmm.
since
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
1996 or yeah.
Well, I'm sure that 45-minute cancer commercial didn't help things, but you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, looking at the Rawcast, you definitely went heel life on the Connor's Cure segment this week.
Now, you know, me and Tommaso Ciampa have a lot of things in common. You know, it's not my fault. I thought it was real cute for like the first 2 minutes, and then I was like, it's not. It's still not over. Oh, it's not over. Oh, they're not even on the stage yet. Oh, they're going to the ring. Oh, it's still not done. Oh, you're dancing. Oh, it would not end. But luckily, I wasn't the only awful person on the hashtag. I found my people. Tatiana Janine was with me.
That's the reason why we have the hashtag so we can get all of the, like-minded folks together in one corner.
Now listen, I was cool to be the cheese stands alone. I didn't care. I said what I said. The shit was boring and it took too long. I don't
Hmm.
like. It doesn't matter that the kid. Listen, I don't want to say it doesn't matter that the kid has cancer, and it does. It matters that Connor's cure is a thing. That's wonderful. It did not need to take up 30 minutes. It felt like 30 minutes. I don't know if that's really what it was, but it didn't need to be all that. It could have been much quicker. But then they got that check for $200,000, and that's like, I guess that's what $200,000 gets you.
Yeah,
I was
your
like,
own block of time on Monday Night Raw.
my God, this is boring. I was like, could
Yeah.
could could they have done a match? Like, they could have been like Little Nicholas or something, like mixed tag. No, like nothing. They could have fake covered the Miz or somebody. Like, make it interesting. It wasn't interesting.
I understand. I understand.
But I'm kind of hateful. I feel the same when they do the breast cancer thing, but even that's much quicker. That's just
That's
like, you're awesome.
that's
But
coming
you
up next month.
but that won't take 45 minutes. They just find some handsome person to be like, look at these amazing women. Then they give them a belt and they stand in the ring and they cut to commercial. It's not a 45-minute, like, in the arms of an angel ASPCA commercial in the middle of my Raw. I really feel some type of way about this, huh? I
So,
didn't I
Mystic
didn't like it.
and gummy bears. How many gummy bears do we get this edition of Raw? We haven't done this in a while.
0.75.
0.75. Wow.
Yeah, it was awful.
If it was one of those special gummy bears, you wouldn't even feel that.
Mm. I think there's a strong, but anyway, yeah, no, 0.75 between the cancer
All right.
commercial and the Botchy Brie, and yeah, no, it just wasn't good.
All right. Miss Nadia, do you have a ranking for this week's Raw?
Honestly, I don't know. Raw is not interesting to me at all right now. I think with the writers and how they work, it's not as interesting how I would want it to be. So I wouldn't even give it a rate, honestly. And that's why the numbers are way down than what it's supposed to be. So I don't know.
All right. So that was this past week's Monday Night
Hmm.
Raw. Now it's time to turn it over to Miss Didi
Yes.
Donay for our SmackDown Matters report.
Hi, SmackDown's still in Denver. Um, Instead of Miss TV, we have Truth TV.
Hmm.
Our Truth apparently knows who Carmella is now, and they're really good friends. So they come out together ahead of their mixed match challenge match. That's a lot of matches with Miz and Asuka.
You
They
love
bring out.
alliteration.
I do love alliteration. That was kind of tongue twistery, a little difficult. They bring out Daniel Bryan as their guest. He busts out his reading glasses because our truth is about 75, and he goes to be like the guy from inside the actor studio with his stack of question cards. Oh, he doesn't know that Carmella isn't Marie's, which is
You know,
interesting because Carmella looks like Eva Marie.
yeah, she's got reddish
Red
brown
hair.
hair
Hmm.
now. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
actually like
it
the red hair on her.
yeah, it looks good on her.
Hmm.
Did you
But
like
first,
the $100 bill knee high boot she had on?
hmm,
Did y'all notice that her boots had
No,
a
I
bunch
was
of
focused on her hair.
right.
bills
Oh,
on?
you know what? Yes, when she started dancing, I was like, oh, okay, all right, I see it. Yeah.
I can't say that I noticed. I have not been very observant lately. I don't know what's wrong with me. Um, they take a mandatory 7-second dance break. Oh, he said he's glad that she colored her hair, so
Mm.
that way he won't confuse her with Maurice anymore. But Daniel Bryan says he wants to be WWE champ once again. He has unfinished business with the championship as well as with The Miz. He wants to prove he's the best, while Miz only wants to say he's the best. The Miz arrives, wants to know what Truth is doing. He says to The Miz that he beat him 2 weeks ago, and since he won, he took his talk show. Miz then tells Daniel Bryan that he fights fair and the people love him, but it's also why he'll never beat The Miz. Miz will do anything it takes, and that's why he'll win again at Super Showdown. He says he'll do anything to get a WWE title shot while Daniel Bryan keeps letting people down. And if Daniel Bryan cheats, he'll tarnish his name in doing so. The Miz doesn't have these problems because he lives life. Truth has had enough and bans the Miz from True TV for life. And he says if Miz wants his show back, he'll fight him for it right now. Dance break. So Miz meets with Paige, and Paige is very much amused, and so she makes the match. Um, the spinning forearm connects, and Truth covers for a 2 count. There's an eye poke by the Miz because we don't fight fair, and the skull crushing finale could connect. The alliteration. The skull crushing finale connects. Miz talks shit to Daniel Bryan, mocks him, and then hits the running knee for the win. During a photo shoot for Charlotte, Becky attacks her and then demands that they take her picture while she stands over the fallen carcass of Charlotte. It's great.
Now, I know that that was probably your highlight of SmackDown. Becky just running rough shot over Charlotte. I wonder what those pictures looked like when Charlotte was getting that beat down, because you know that dude didn't stop. He was on his job.
Iconic. That means he's got action shots, which are the best shots. But yeah, Slit. New Day comments about joking around too much, but they respect the bar. They plan to say something nice while first making fun of Cesaro's nipples and the fact that he looks like a Swiss Jason Statham. I've been said that. I said that years
Yo.
ago. You know I said he
they,
looks like the transporter. You know I said that.
they be listening.
Mm. Well, then they could give me a ticket to the damn SmackDown. What the hell? Sheamus cuts off the comedy routine and says all he wants to do is fight, and they will win the titles at Super Showdown. Now, if you were on Twitter and you follow Big E like I do, you might have heard him say how back in the day when he was a young boy up at the Performance Center, Sheamus used to come down and talk to the kids about how awesome he was and make them kiss his ass. And he's like, we grown, we don't gotta do that no more. And much like Braun Strowman, Sheamus about to get these hands or something like that. So they have a match. Big E drops the straps, but Sheamus powders to the apron and cuts off the suicide spear. These alliterations. Sheamus counters the big ending into a bro kick, and unfortunately, Sheamus gets the win.
Mhm.
Backstage, Paige is lecturing AJ not to destroy shit during the contract signing. Also backstage, Rusev and Lana meet, and Rusev wants to get answers from her tonight. They arrive in the ring, and Rusev discusses Aiden's betrayal and what happened on Rusev Day. That makes him a traitor. But Rusev wants to know why he did it. Aiden arrives and says he understands that Rusev is angry, but it's not his fault. He says no one cared about how great Rusev was until he came along. Facts. English saw potential in him, gave him purpose, and made him loved. Facts. Aiden plays the video package, putting himself over as the real driving force behind Rusev. Not Rusev, but certainly Rusev Day. English says that they were amazing together. They were destined to be legends. And what happened? She happened. This is all Lana's fault. Aiden shows another video to prove his point. Rusev doesn't buy it, as English says that they were better off without Lana around. Lana says she took Rusev to great heights way before he came along. Remember when Lana used to wear the little suits? Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's what she's talking about. Ada says Lana may think she's honest, but will she tell Rusev about that one night in Milwaukee?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Lana's like, what night in Milwaukee? And so she's like, I don't get it. Rusev's like, I believe you. Becky's like, Milwaukee. So she's talking shit about her and her, barely there wrestling skills. Last about Milwaukee. And Russo's like, when was the last time we were in Milwaukee? Which is fun. Because who does host shit in Milwaukee? But then again, what
Um,
else is there to do but host shit in Milwaukee?
did you see the Happy Aiden Day shirt?
No, I'm
Mhm.
really not observant.
Yeah, and he had the little Happy Aiden Day on the microphone too.
Oh
They were
Oh,
shit.
they were like the
branding.
Chicago Cubs colors. Yeah, it's cool.
Branding. Aiden is about that life. The double iconics arrive. But Naomi and Asuka interrupt them.
Mhm.
Asuka and Naomi versus Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. Was this before or after they had that moment where your girl tried to put her hands on Naomi's weave?
This was
There's
like congruent. They came out and then they showed the reason why they're wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, got it. So yeah, Mandy Rose tried to put her hand in Naomi's weave. First of all, I digress. Oscar knows about bundles.
Mm-hmm.
And Naomi was like, what you know about bundles, girl? So
Mm-hmm.
already it's like, y'all are the cutest thing I've ever seen.
See, Asuka
Then
is cultured. She's cultured. She knows what's
she's
up.
woke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Woke. After I take my trip to Samoa, I might have to go to Japan. Like,
Oh shit!
they know
Shit,
about the
take me with you.
bundles. They know about the bundles, girl. So then Mandy Rose reaches for her, Naomi's hair, and Oscar's like, "What you won't do is put your dirty hand up in these good bundles."
She almost broke her wrist. She
As
snatched her.
Mm-hmm.
She
as
snatched
she
her hand back
should,
so fast.
as she should. Don't put your dirty hand in her
Now,
hair.
Yep.
now, Didi,
Hmm.
you see how they took something that Mandy Rose did in real life and brought it to TV.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know we have a
Mm-hmm.
we don't like Mandy Rose as much as we used to because of her
She's
little incident.
problematic. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll always give you a chance to, redeem yourself. Seth got his. She
yeah, he
might can
did.
get hers. But it usually helps if you befriend the black people, not put your dirty hand in their
Yep.
weave. But baby
Yeah,
steps.
yeah,
We'll
I
get
loved it.
there.
I loved it. I was like, damn, Naomi teaching Oscar right off the
And,
bat.
and Naomi
Yep.
was like, "You got it. Look at you knowing things. Yeah, so good.
I love Asuka. Like everything about her, I'm in love. Like even the colors and I just
Yeah,
love it.
she's epic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they had like the matching kind of outfits this week too. They look really like a team.
Ooh,
hmm Oh yeah, 'cause she was like, "Tell me how to get the colors in my weave, girl." She was like, "You got good bundles," which means you can dye them when they're good bundles, because you can't be trying to dye bad bundles. The more you,
Hashtag fashion cast.
the more you know. Okay, so anyway, the Bill hits a running knee strike as Asuka makes the save. Then she dumps Mandy Rose and hits an ass attack. Naomi hits the disaster kick. Asuka tags in and they deliver kicks. And then Asuka pins Deville for the win because duh.
that's our
Next,
girl.
yes. Next is Nakamura versus Ty Dillinger. Ooh, Nakamura. Listen, they thought they were doing something, changing his music. I can still groove to the entrance music. You ain't stopping nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not sorry. But the original is so good. Ty avoids the Kinshasa, hits a super kick, and then the frog splash for two. He lays in corner strikes. But then Randy Orton arrives for the DQ. He kicks the shit out of Ty and hits the draping DDT to the floor. And then Nakamura hits the Kinshasa on Ty into the LED board.
Now we're
Uh,
very fortunate Todd Dillinger didn't get a concussion because his head went crack right off of the side of the ring.
well,
And
Min is
that
hard at
LED
it,
board.
so. um, I'm gonna go in a different order. So Orton is walking backstage and he's interviewed. They're basically like, "Why'd you do that?" He says he attacked Di Dillinger because the perfect 10 crap pisses him off. So he's just being like a grumpy old man. Lana prepares for her match, and Rusev wishes her good luck and says he believes her. She's being very defensive though, so Milwaukee. Next is Becky Lynch versus Lana. Becky tosses Lana into the barricade. Back in, Lana rolls Becky up for two. The head kick follows for two. Then she goes to the ropes. Becky cuts her off and hits the exploder, and then the disarmer finishes Lana off. Aw, poor little Tink Tink. Were we shocked? No, we weren't. Next,
Mm-hmm.
AJ versus Joe. Oh no, it's
Some
not a
more.
match. It's just about them signing the contract. Paige is out to host the contract signing. She jokes that we all know how these things go. Bitches be fighting. AJ arrives and then Paige announces Joe. Joe's not there. AJ gets on the mic to run him down for not showing up, noting that Joe will likely try to attack him from behind. AJ says that ooh, Joe will be in Straya for the match.
Australia. I love when you say that.
That's what happens. I mess with my Australian people, and that's what they called it.
Australia.
Straya. It's so cute. But anyway, he says they'll be in Straya for their match, and Joe appears on the screen.
Mm.
Guess where Joe is?
At AJ's house.
Good Yes. He says that AJ's house is thousands of miles away and AJ must
I
feel
love that.
helpless since there's nothing he can do about it. Joe tells AJ to call Wendy, but he says he won't ruin the surprise and has a baby doll for Annie. He says AJ knows his family is home right now, so he's afraid. And Joe says this is how AJ will feel when he loses the title in Straya.
Mm,
Styles stole the title from him, which is facts, and that demands consequences. AJ's begging, but it's not like it's a live feed. He can't hear him. He says, "Don't go to the house, don't go to the house." And then, in the best ending of this show in months, Joe rings the doorbell and says, "Daddy's home."
yeah, that whole segment was comical. Like that's one of my favorite segments that night.
It was iconic.
Hmm.
This
Like
is
that's sorry.
oh, go ahead.
No, like this is how it should be. Like Raw needs to take notes. Like they're just
Hmm.
dragging so much shit. Like I don't know, dude. Like, but that segment, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this fight. Like, I'm ready to fight with them. Like, I don't know, it just gave you that vibes, and that's why I love Samoa Joe because he makes you feel like you're in it. You know, it's just how he goes about the segment and even the writers behind it. Like, I love that. That whole segment was one of like was the highlight of the whole SmackDown.
I would say that that is correct. How do you feel
Hmm.
about it, Donald?
This is what I wanted the week before the Hell in a Cell match. Remember when he was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I just might show up at your house next week for the barbecue
Yep.
at the school thing." This is what I wanted them to have happen then, but they gave it to me here, so I can't complain. It
Yeah.
definitely
It's just we had to take what we get. Like that's
right,
what it is.
right. But I'm glad that they did follow through with it and did have Samoa Joe show up at his
Hmm.
house in some shape, form, or fashion, just to kind of. And it was a good twist on the contract signing to not have them, touch again before
Yeah.
they get ready to
The
wrestle. So
official night.
yeah, so I thought it was well done. I thought this episode was fantastic at SmackDown.
Hmm.
Becky Lynch is just continuing to shine in her new role as I don't know. She's not really heel. She's just an ass kicker.
Yeah.
Last kicker.
No, last kicker. Excuse me.
There you go. Wrap it up. It's in a bow, ready for you.
Yeah,
Last
so
kicker.
I love this episode of
Hmm.
SmackDown. Like
Yep.
Nadia said, I mean they've been on it for most of this year for the most part. So another great episode of SmackDown. Dee Jonay,
Hmm.
ever since you decided to run the place, they've been putting
Yeah.
it on.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
mean, look, once you came on this show and started being our SmackDown correspondent, they went from taping it to it being live to it
it,
being better than Raw.
Mm.
to being on
Yep.
Tuesdays.
Yep, yep. And Tuesdays and
Because
not
it used to
Thursdays
be
anymore.
Thursday. It used to
Now
be
it's about to be
Thursdays.
Fridays though, so I don't know how that's going to work for the show.
Yeah.
Well, I don't got a life, so I'll be fine. I don't know what everybody else is gonna do though.
But
'Cause I can't imagine too many people like, "What are you doing on Friday night?" Going
Watching
to see
wrestling.
SmackDown. Like what? Like I'm not doing that.
most people don't go out till after 10 o'clock, so I
Yeah.
mean
Some
it'd
people
be
have a
a
lot of
cool
True.
energy.
thing to
Because
have a
let me tell you,
pregame.
let me tell you what will never happen. And I'm saying this now because I think I am going to try to go to the 1,000th episode, even though that's the day before I leave on a trip, and the flight leaves at 7 in the morning. But I might sacrifice for you all because I love you, which means you should drop some money off in my
Right?
Cash App. But that's neither here nor there. I lost the point.
I got you with the bras.
Thank you.
Let
Bras
me get
matter.
you.
I do need
Right?
my bras. But
Shit.
I forgot what I was saying. I was saying something about the Smacky Downy. It must not have been important.
Well,
Why did
you
I
can.
lose my train of thought? Was this that damn mead?
Shit, that
Oh,
was
must
me in the
be.
beginning, dude.
That
Fuck.
damn sweet blossom?
You can find the WrassleCast on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Yes, yes.
So now we'll come into our Lucha Underground report. Edie,
Flames. Emoji
when
flames.
when we took the I missed Lucha Underground last week, and
I
guess
did
what
too.
happened?
What happened?
Marty the Moth won the title
I'm
from
glad I
What?
missed it.
Pentagon Jr.
I'm glad I missed it.
He
Was
had
that
some
the
help.
first night? Or was that was the first match of the night?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
It
oh,
was
oh.
last week. They kind of recapped last week, so I'm
Oh,
recapping last week. We didn't get a chance to review it last week.
gotcha, gotcha.
So yeah, so Mario the Moth, with the help of Chelsea Green, he's the new Lucha Underground champion. Um, of course, we get the great intro teaser. It's focused on Drago chasing Jake Strong off with nunchucks. It focuses on Eva Lise losing her Gift of the Gods title shot and then forming the Trios tag team with Joey Ryan and Exolicious as well. So we get into our very first match. Well, first, before that, Matt Striker reads a prepared statement from Antonio Cueto. The letter booked the fatal four-way match to be the number one contender in the main event later tonight. The statement justified the four-way due to luck made it perfect for Marty to have an easy time, and what would have happened if Phoenix was an evil or Mill One or Pentagon did have 1 week to prepare. Jack Evans, he's in the ring. He cuts off Melissa Santos during her ring introductions. You know how I feel about that. Jack Evans calls himself Lucha's one true God. Jack says that he doesn't want to wrestle for an organization that allows Exolicious to wrestle freely. Jack then defended Johnny Mundo and said that he wants to rip the head off Matanza Cueto. Jack then says that he may have said no mas in his last match, but this time he's saying I quit to Lucha Underground. Antonio Cueto cuts off Jack, and then he sets up the latest loser gets sacrificed match. Jack cuts off Antonio and said that Antonio sounds like Satan. Jack then bolted for the upstairs door. Matt Striker noted that we have a runner. Jack couldn't open the door, but was surprised when Matanza emerged from the other side. Jack prayed to the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Jack managed to escape the hold of Matanza, but Antonio Cueto used his cane to trick Jack down the steps. Matanza hit Jack with a gut wrench powerbomb on the apron before tossing Jack in the ring to start the match. Now, I was laughing so hard when Antonio Cueto tripped him with that cane. It's like, now that's a heel move right there. So Matanza Cueto versus Jack Evans. Jack hits Matanza with the slingshot Trouble in Paradise. Jack then hits Matanza with the 630 senton for a 2 count. Matanza lifted Jack from the pin position and hit Jack with the Wrath of the Gods for the win. And Jack Evans gets sacrificed. Any thoughts, questions, concerns there, Miss Didi Janae?
No, I watched it.
Okay.
I don't
Cool.
really watch
Oh yeah, you said
underground with
you
with
always
the
watch it.
understanding.
Yeah, you said you always watch it with like it's kind of noise in the background.
Lucha Underground is like watching a kung fu movie without subtitles. Like I don't really ever understand what's going on. So many of them wear a mask, and I don't know who they are in relation to the other. That I can't keep up with all of it. So I just get like broad strokes of it. It's still entertaining as hell. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know.
We have the Reptile Tribe, Cobra Moon, Daga, and Jeremiah Crane versus Evilise, Joey Ryan, and Exolicious for the Lucha Underground Trios Championship titles.
They make me so uncomfortable.
Exolicious caught the Reptile Tribe with a plancha on the outside. Joey Ryan then grabbed a second lollipop from his crotch, and Jeremiah
Ugh.
Crane ate it.
Ugh, that is
Joey and
gross.
Daga traded pin attempts. Daga rolled into the cross arm breaker, and the Reptile Tribe retains their titles.
Ugh.
All right, I'm just gonna drink to this right
After the match, Paul London and El Bunny went to the bottom of the steps to surround the baby faces in the ring. El Bunny did some awesome lucha libre moves against the baby faces. El Bunny hit Exolicious. Paul London then kicked Evilise in the gut to allow El Bunny to land a drop kick on her. London put all the baby faces' heads on the bottom rope, which Striker said looked like a guillotine. Killer Cross yelled "tick-tock" as London and El Bunny, sat on the top of the face trio, and then the heels left. Aerostar and Drago versus Jake Strong, in a handicap nunchuck match. The Super Friends beat on Strong with the nunchucks. Jake regained control when the Super Friends dropped the weapons. Aerostar got his feet up on a Vader bomb attempt. Aerostar then hits his free fall splash for a near fall. Strong manages to backdrop Drago out of the ring. Strong hit Aerostar with the Swagger Bomb and then locked Aerostar in the Patriot Lock, and Aerostar taps out. After the match, Jake Strong held onto Aerostar's leg after the match, and it was up to Drago to break it up. Drago wailed on Jake Strong with the nunchucks. Strong managed to put Drago in the ankle lock, and Drago's ankle is broken, while the crowd chants, "Strong, strong, strong, strong." Main event time. King Carano versus Mil Muertes versus El Dragon Azteca Jr. versus Pentagon Jr. The winner becomes the number one contender for the Lucha Underground Championship. Phoenix and Azteca brawled at ringside to the warehouse exit. Pentagon and Mil were left in the ring. Pentagon took down Mil with a super kick, and then King Cuerno took down Pentagon with a drop kick while he was CO meadowing. Cuerno caught both of his opponents with an arrow from the depths of hell. Mil gave Pentagon and Cuerno a spear off the apron. Willie Mack shows up and hits Mil with 2 Stone Cold Stunners, and this allowed Pentagon to hit Mil with the Canadian Destroyer for the victory. So Pentagon Jr. will be the number one contender for the Lucha Underground title, and this match will take place at Ultimate Lucha 4. So after the match, Willie Mack gets in the ring. He talks directly to Mil. Mack said that Mil will face him at Ultimate Lucha 4. Willie Mack says that he's no longer afraid of Mil. Willie says that he's not afraid to die, but Mil should be, because the Ultimate Lucha 4, he was challenging Mil to a death match. Then Mack says, "Rest in peace, motherfucker," at 8:58 on regular broadcast cable
regular ass cable, B. Regular ass cable. I mean, I knew we could say shit. I ain't know we could do all that. Motherfucker was usually reserved for like HBO or like Comedy Central after 1 a.m. Like, you can't do that shit at 8:58. But you can. That shit is crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had to pay somebody.
Like, and I think it's worth it, because I was shook.
Yeah, so another fun episode of Lucha Underground, as always. Goes by really quick. Matches are really fun. They do a lot of cool moves. Not to mention the mysteries and the science fiction of it all. So we're heading to Ultimate Lucha 4, so we'll see how this season of Lucha Underground wraps up.
Did I ever tell you about the tribes?
Yes, you did. You showed me. You sent me the article, actually, and I read
Lit,
it.
right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I ain't know nothing about that. See what I'm saying? You can watch Lucha Underground, and it's just like so much of it can float over your head. You'll be entertained, but there's like this whole other storyline that you can kind of avoid, and it doesn't change the quality of the show, which is kind of interesting.
Sorry, guys, I didn't even watch it. So link me if you guys do find it.
Oh yeah, I will. I've got a site that I can probably bring it up for you so you can watch it.
Perfect.
This week's edition of the WrassleCast is being brought to you by patreon.com/CSPN Media. Head over to patreon.com/CSPN Media and become a CSPN Backstage member and gain access to all these exclusive podcasts, videos, and more provided by your favorite podcast here on the CSPN. These are commercial free. They don't have any ads. So you get a chance to hear what Deasia and Soso talk about before Bad and Boozy podcast. You get to hear Candace Curtis and Jeremy talk about other things that they might not always get a chance to talk about on Ratchet Ramblers. You also get exclusive podcasts from Newsy Floozies, Rock Solid Radio, and more. So please consider becoming a patron of the CSPN and head over to patreon.com/CSPN Media and become a CSPN Backstage member. Final review is NXT. William Regal arrives to kick off the show. Regal discusses the Aleister Black situation and he says he's close to a resolution. The Undisputed Era interrupt and says Regal isn't doing his job. Aleister Black was taken out weeks ago and that was on Regal. It's in the past, but Regal should focus on it not happening again. The Undisputed Era wants Regal to deal with the cosplaying Vikings, the War Raiders. Regal finds their interruption very interesting. Adam Cole cuts him off and says, how dare Regal think of accusing them? Cole says Regal refuses to reprimand Ricochet and says Ricochet is ducking him. Plus, why should Pete Dunne get a title shot and not Adam Cole? Adam Cole wants his rematch and he wants it right now. Regal says Cole never asked and says that he wanted Dunne to soften up Ricochet and then tried to get one by him last week. Regal won't give him the title rematch. Regal then books Adam Cole versus Pete Dunne versus Ricochet in 2 weeks for the North American title. And in 3 weeks, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly will defend their tag team titles against the War Raiders. So don't be coming up here trying to steal William Regal shine. He'll put you in his place. He don't fuck around. Johnny Gargano, he's going to face Tony Nese next week, and he's excited to be back. Johnny says he hates where he was going. He went home and got things back on track. He says he can't be Johnny Wrestling sitting at home, so he's going to return next week, and he's looking forward to it. Lacey Evans arrives, and then she runs down Candice LeRae. She pisses Candice off, and then they set up a match likely for next week. The Velveteen Dream is here. He's interviewed, and then he says that he won't talk about Johnny Failure, and he won't talk about Aleister Black, and he walks off. Lars Sullivan versus Vordell Walker. Lars Sullivan is proceeding to throw this man all over the ring when EC3 attacks Lars Sullivan from behind for the DQ. EC3 clothesline Sullivan to the floor, and as Lars Sullivan just smiles at him. Steve Regal is interviewed about the Aleister Black investigation, and he runs into Nikki Cross. Nikki says she wants to play with Bianca again in a rematch. Regal says he will consider it, as Nikki Cross yells at him, I know. The Mighty versus the Street Profits. So a couple of weeks ago, the Mighty Don't Kneel came out, cost the Street Profits a win because they stole their cup and their chains. Well, in this particular match, the Mighty come down wearing the chains and they have the cup. So this week we get a very, very serious version of the Street Profits. They ain't doing no dancing. They ain't doing no high-fiving. They coming down to the ring to whoop some ass. The Mighty work double teams, but Montez Ford manages to kick out. Miller works a figure 4 variation. Ford fights out, but Miller chop blocks him. Thorne tags in and follows with strikes. Montez Ford fights off Miller, but Thorne hits a jackknife cradle on Montez Ford, and the Mighty gets a win over the Street Profits. Kairi Sane, she wrestled against Vanessa Bourne. Kairi Sane fights to her feet and avoids the charge and follows with the DDT. Kairi Sane follows with strikes and hits the spear. The sliding D follows and Kairi Sane heads up top. Kairi hits the insane elbow drop and she gets the win. DD's fave, Shayna Baszler, comes out and says that
You are so disrespectful.
Kairi needs to celebrate while she can. Kairi may have won in Brooklyn, and that hurt Baszler. But Shayna says that she won't take that out on her right now, and she wants a rematch. Kairi Sane agrees and says that she can have her rematch at WWE Evolution, and Kairi says that she will win again. Main event time. DD's true fave, though, not being funny. Tommaso Ciampa, the champ, versus Otis Dozovich. Ciampa uses the ref as a shield, breaks the eyes, but Dozovich hits a sit-out powerbomb for 2. Ciampa rolls to the apron and DDTs Dozovich on the apron. Back in the ring, Ciampa hits another draping DDT and he gets the win. And that's how this week's NXT ended, with Ciampa on the ramp celebrating a hard-fought victory. So at this time, since we've reached the end of the show, we're going to turn it over to our guest, Miss Nadia, for her shout-outs and thank yous.
Oh shit. I like to thank Terrence, Shelton, and my girls for, because I was nervous as fuck. Like, I hate talking, but it was good. It was chill. And I
Thank
thank
you.
you guys for having me. I appreciate it a lot.
Oh, thanks for coming on. Glad that we could hopefully calm your nerves a little bit.
Yeah. As soon as you said record, I was like, oh fuck, it's getting real. So I was like, next time I was like, oh shit, I don't want to hear that word. Just go in. Just do it. But yeah,
Miss
thank you for having me.
Okay, no problem. Miss Didi Jonay, your shout-outs and thank yous.
Shout out to Don, Greg, Samuel. Shout out to Nadia, because she's going to be my connect with all things
Yay.
Samoan.
Shit,
We
I'll
got
teach
to,
you Samoan too. You know, a lot of people on my Twitter, they think I have an accent. And I'm like, I do not. Like, I can fake an accent if that's what you want, but I
you
don't know.
definitely have an accent.
Holy.
You don't know that you have an accent. That's so
Didi, you gotta
cute.
send me your address so we can fight. Just kidding.
Listen, no,
No.
you're almost a whole foot taller than me. I can't fight you. We have to be friends. We gonna
That's
have a
gonna be a
fight.
whole match. It's like PvP, guys. You have to pay up. We need bras.
Listen, I might do it for a new set of bras.
No,
It
seriously, we
gets
have to throw
expensive.
that out.
Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. Okay, so yeah, shout out to you because we're going to Samoa. Because apparently ain't no taxes there. Let me know what I'm saying,
Right?
everybody. I don't need anybody on my plan.
Shit, we don't need to pay rent too. See, that's a good thing. I'm tired
That's
of
a
paying rent.
word. That's a so you don't really need money if you don't have to pay rent, because rent is where most of your money goes.
Hmm. See, I got you. If we go back home, I'll climb the coconut tree for you and I'll go sell
It's
them.
lit.
See?
It's lit. We out of here.
Yep.
Fuck this mainland. Okay, wait. Okay, so shout out to Nadia. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the chairman. Shout out to Mel, because Mel still always gets shout outs. Shout out to um shout out to my friend Courtney, because her mama coming to visit from California and I'm going to brunch with them. Yep. Is that it? Yeah. No, shout out to these damn SmackDown tickets. Help me help you. Don't you want a live review? I can't do it if you don't help me. Thank you. My Cash App name is $DeeJonee. That's
Hit
it.
it up. Fill it up.
Every dollar helps.
The face that runs the place needs to be in the place for the
Yes,
1,000
yes.
spots. Yeah.
Let me see how much these damn tickets cost. But yeah, I'm done.
All right. I'd like to give a special shout out to Nadia for joining us tonight. I'd
Thank
like to give
you.
a shout out to Miss Didi Jonay. Give a shout out to Greg and Sam. Wish they could join us this week, but hopefully they'll be back next week. Give a shout out to everybody who listens to Cast a Strong Style this Sunday on Access. They're coming back to Long Beach Sunday night. I think it starts around 8. Couple of matches that are going to be standout. Marty Skrull is going to wrestle Will Ospreay for they're having a tournament to crown the new IWGP light heavyweight champion. So they're that's going to be a standout match. Cody Rhodes is going to wrestle Juice Robinson for the United States title. We're going to have the Golden Lovers. They're going to be in the main event. I forgot who they're wrestling though. Oh, Tomohiro Ishii and somebody, but I forgot who they're going against. But yeah, that should be a really good main event as well. Be on the lookout for a new Cast a Strong Style next week. We've got a lot to talk about with what happened in the destruction event at the end of the Tanahashi Okada match, which was another just classic match between those two guys. So check that out. Check that out next week. Be on the lookout for that. And just shout out to everybody who listens to the WrassleCast, participates in all the hashtags. Give a shout out to the Glow and all the Wrestle Bays. Big shout out to Jade to the Max. Hopefully she got over her Vols their showing last weekend against the Gators. It wasn't pretty, folks. So hopefully the Chicago Bears will be very good this year and be the substitute Jade needs to get through this football season, since her Vols may not be that good. And other than that, on that note, for our special guest Nadia and our SmackDown Matters correspondent, Ms. Didi Jonay, I'm Don Delarente. This has been episode 204 of the WrassleCast. Please stay tuned for the parting promo. All right,
Awesome.
we're all done.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you for joining.